Welcome back, my little hash-slinging slashers, to
What to watch now?
where we talk about what's streaming on Netflix right now. And in today's episode, we are talking about the 2010 instant classic comedy horror, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil! Holy shit, I wish I had seen this earlier. Thank God for Netflix, because beautiful gems like this would have disappeared on the wayside. And, clearly it was beloved because it was in the trending and popular, but it's not well known enough to me, which now I'm glad it is. This would be a great bridging movie to horror films I wish I had experienced sooner. Fun fact about me, I actually didn't get into horror until this year. So I've tried horror on and off, but my imagination's way too fucking creative. I don't need visuals to help it out. But I always found myself looking up Wikipedia synopsises and being generally drawn to horror plot lines. And there was a lot of creativity there I wanted to try out, but I just couldn't handle. And then I don't know what died in me or what got opened up. Something happened, some occulty ritual, I say that as a joke, that in the last year, me and my boyfriend, I include him in this subject because he's the same way as me, we just got really into horror. And we watched probably the top 50 well-known horror movies. That includes Hammer horror to more of the campy indie stuff like Graduation Day and Sleepover at Camp, which, I should totally do that. Oh my god, I'm doing Graduation Day and Sleepover at Camp for my Patreon users, which, by the way, just a friendly reminder, you should totally take this time to subscribe, maybe follow me on Twitter, let me know what you think about this movie or something comparable. I love talking to you guys about this shit, and consider becoming a Patreon supporter today. It not only helps me out, but I give a bunch of awesome, cool, exclusive content on there I think you would really love. And you can subscribe for as low as $1. So win-win-win to everyone. So anyways, so I got really into watching horror movie over this last year. And this to me is a beautiful bridging experience that would have helped me get into horror sooner. I would compare it to something like Shaun of the Dead, but Shaun of the Dead is kind of more self-aware in the sense that, a lot of horror movies like to focus on the idea of the main character overcoming something, that the horror is actually a metaphor of them being backed up against the wall, that in any other circumstance they wouldn't have found their ability to move on or become brave or face their fears. And it's very fun, but also meaningful. And so Shaun of the Dead was dealing with the idea of literally being a zombie in his life and overcoming that. I actually have a whole episode on Shaun of the Dead. You should totally check it out. I got really deep with the metaphors and everything. Loved that, reviewing that. This is more self-aware in the sense of horror itself and kind of changing how you view things. So this was written and directed by the creative mind Eli Craig, who also did Little Evil. That's also a Netflix original, which, I should totally do that. I'll do Little Evil too, don't worry. But Little Evil is fucking amazing and hilarious. And that movie is basically around the idea of kind of it's kind of mocking the Damien, the kid from the Omen movie. And he is seen as this evil little kid, and he's clearly picking on his stepdad. And the mom just will not acknowledge it. She just keeps jokingly being we just have some bad luck. And it's supposed to be very self-aware and goofy in that way. But you end up building a genuine connection between the little kid and the stepdad. So it's really sweet in that way. This is kind of your typical, a bunch of preppy kids, sorority and frat kids, go camping in the woods, and instead of a bunch of hillbillies attacking them, it's the other way around. And it's amazing. I fucking love it. It is a little bit of that, facing of your fears type, kind of like Shaun of the Dead, but it's more focused on the joke of the matter of the villains then becoming the victims. So we start off with Tucker and Dale, who I fucking loved both of them. They were an amazing combo duo, but also, who does not fucking love Alan Tudyk? He is Alan's this, again, there's just so many actors where they might not be the Brie Larsons of the world where they're really well known right now, but if you mention their name, you can name 20 different things they've been in that you just absolutely love them in. So they're they've got a very deep, saturated career with a lot of great creative choices. Actually, Alan Tudyk, which I'm pretty sure he's Mr. Nobody in Doom Patrol right now, which is really cool. So if you want to explore some more movies of him, here you go. I think also Firefly is also on Netflix, which I still gotta check out. I actually haven't checked it out because I'm afraid I'll love it and I'll be so sad there's not another season. So anyways, we have Tyler Labine, who's playing Dale, and Alan Tudyk, who's playing Tucker. And essentially, they look like very scary hillbillies. But in reality, they're just working class people heading to Tucker's vacation home that he's so excited he worked very hard to purchase. The funniest part is, like, it makes sense. Like, we're shown how lifestyles are exclusively in movies, and so the white picket fence and a certain way of looking, and anything that is dirty or not perfect is somehow scary or evil. When in fact, like, I'm sure many people live in beat up cabins and it doesn't fucking mean anything. I mean, shit, like Dolly Parton, like her house looked like that house. She had no porch, they experienced flooding often, she was barefoot, like, there was nothing wrong with growing up that way. There's no connotation around that. So just, we're talking about different viewpoints, but from a distance, they look like your cliche, distrustful, scary, creepy guys. Along the way, they run into some campers. Again, preppy, cliche, fraternity, sorority kind of kids. And Dale becomes interested in Allison, who's played by Katrina Bowden, which I loved her in this. You'll remember her from 30 Rock as the secretary. She's really a great actress with a lot of range, and I think she was perfect. Like, she gave the believable naivety and the comedic timing perfectly, so I loved her in this. But anyways, he kind of feels interested in her, and he feels insecure because he thinks, oh, she's too pretty for me, I don't make enough money, I'm not cool enough. Unaware that he comes across as a distant, as like a cliche, evil, like scary villain. He tries to, talk to her in the very beginning, and the poor thing, they're so terrified of her. Essentially, this movie is like one chaotic accident after the other. And they think that he is somehow trying to attack them or get them, so they stand up to him and be like, give us some space, man, and run away from him. And he thinks, oh, that's right, they are too cool for me. I shouldn't be talking to them. And the whole time Tucker's like, no, you believe in yourself. You're a great guy. It's so funny. And again, same thing when they get to the cabinet. There are some loose boards and accidental, like, firearms, but it's just, again, someone keeping their, like, gasoline and unsafe swinging nailed-in hinge at a unsafe level. Like there's just unsafe things going on. Coincidentally, it's just kind of dirty. They're going there to clean it up, but it just seems like on purpose and sinister, like they're doing something sick there. So they're trying to go there to vacation, enjoy this new vacation home Tucker worked really hard for. And what happens is, that sets everything off, is the co-eds are out swimming. And Allison climbs up to the rock and she sees the boys. Tucker tries to convince Dale to talk to her, but when he's just simply being like, hi, just trying to be friendly, he catches her off guard, she falls off the rock, hits her head, and he's immediately concerned that she potentially might drown. And to be honest with you, she really could. So he pulls her in, and it's so funny. This is where you think it would get, like, overplayed as a joke, but it really never does. They are trying to innocently just be like, we have your friend, and they're like, oh my god, they have our friend, and it really does look bad from a distance. They try to row over to them, and they think that they're being chased, so they run away, or if they try to warn the friends on, like, writing their fingers in the dirt of the car, they take it as a threat. So what ends up happening is we have the boys now having Allison in their care, and they're trying to take care of her. When Allison eventually comes, like, out of it, she really quickly sees that Dale is not a creep or a freak, which is surprising because there's so many times when he convinces her not to leave the cabin, and that might insinuate, like, why won't you let me leave? But she's so quick to believe and senses he's, like, a good guy, and he really doesn't put any pressure on her. He's not a creep in the sense of, like, a normal sense of the word where, like, you're kind of hitting on her too much. He's just really nice, and she connects to that, and right away she's, like, when she realizes everything got blown out of proportion, she thinks he's a pretty great guy and doesn't have any judgments or isn't a judgmental person like he was fearing. And so as their little cute romance is blooming, we've got the psychos. So these kids try to rescue their friend, and it just, oh my god, it just goes to hell. Like, at one point when they go after Tucker and Dale, one of them just full on tries to attack one of them without asking any questions, because again, they think that that they're like, they wouldn't have a chance otherwise. And he literally throws himself into a wood chipper. One guy is running away and he runs right into a branch. And this is the best part about it. When this happens, nobody thinks, oh, maybe this is a misunderstanding, because the rest of the kids that survive, they think they're really being attacked and there's only the evidence of all these dead bodies. There isn't any possible way it was an accident. Of course, all their, fears and worries are coming true. But for Tucker and Dale, they think that these kids are suicidal. They're like, we don't know why they just keep killing themselves. It's so sad. What's wrong with them? And this is when it starts getting more and more amped up. And it's funny because they initially give it like a good motivation and reason. These kids feel, oh my God, they're killing our friends. Look at what they do. They can't get away with this. So they're going out of their way to attack them over and over again. But and it starts, you can see why the anger and the levels of intensity rise and rise and rise. There is some smart choices though after a while, because there starts to be some branching points, like where some of the group disagrees with the other half, because some of them want to just go in there and keep being violent, and the others want to be logical and get a police officer. But again, a police officer comes and then accidentally he hits a board that releases another board with nails on it, and it hits him in his head. And if this was a trap, it would have been the greatest trap ever, but he basically gets plowed in the head with a bunch of needles and a piece of wood by accident. It was a terrible freak thing. Tucker and Dale even tried to be like, don't touch that! So, what happens is most of the kids slowly get cut off, and the ones that are left are then led by insane Chad. I love that his name was Chad. Chad is played by Jesse Moss, and he fucking killed it. He gets more and more sick and irrational. Because, okay, so he's already crazy because in the very beginning of the film, he tries to hit on Allison, and Allison makes it perfectly clear that she is not into him and he is making her feel uncomfortable. And that he's clearly, it's kind of great because like in any other horror movie, the girl would be totally into him, think he's so great, but in a realistic setting, he is creepy, she is saying no, and he is not consenting to that. So when she gets taken, he kind of already sets it up like, I'm going to be the hero and save her, but in addition to that, we were going to technically go together, we were into each other, and kind of building this false narrative to the group and himself. So it makes it seem like he has a reason to be so aggressive about her in particular being kidnapped. And as he starts to motivate the group, even his friends start to notice that he's getting a little too much enjoyment out of it. And it made me laugh, and it actually made more sense to me, to be honest with you, because sometimes you will experience these testosterone-filled people, and I'm not trying to be clear about this. I don't have any negative viewpoints towards any athletes, or I don't think anybody should be stereotyped, and that includes people that are very sociable or successful in whatever they do sport-wise or whatever. But sometimes you will meet people, especially noticed in college, and they are just fucking amped up to another degree, and you just feel like there's something a little bit sociopathic about the way they go. So like I said, I'm just talking about select people. I'm not trying to group anybody. And so when he starts to get into this mindset, I'm like, oh my God, I've met these people. If you put them in the right setting, I think it's very believable they would be like this. So he's getting all this enjoyment, and at the very end, when he goes to attack Tucker and Dale, which by the way, poor fucking Tucker, he gets most of the brunt of the actual physical, like his hand gets chopped off by the crazy Chad, because Chad even kidnaps his friend and tries to shoot their dog. It's so fucked up and sad. When they almost shot the dog, I almost snapped. I was like, I'm turning off this movie. I almost got so upset. So he gets hurt multiple times, and his poor fucking vacation home that he worked so hard for burns down, the poor guy. So what ends up happening is the rest of the other, it's kind of like a final showdown. Allison naively, and I'm gonna be like, girl, are you unaware that, like, I don't mean to be rude, I can't speak for the level, because she said she was going to school for, like, therapy or psychology or whatever you want to call it, and she considers herself a bad psychologist. I'm like, I don't know if you're a bad psychologist or you're just unaware that these two men are only calming down because you're there and they both want to get with you. I don't think that's a level of your power in the intelligent an helpful way. I just think you underestimate the power of your booty. And so she tries to calm them down and have them talk, but it's so funny and it goes out of hand very quickly because he ends up telling a story where his mother and father were out camping once themselves, which I want to be like, dude, with the level of, like, clearly you're scarred by this. If you were scarred by this so intensely, you think you'd never go camping again. But he was camping, or his family was camping, and unfortunately a bunch of hillbillies or whatever came and attacked and assaulted his mom. And it was insinuated that they didn't know she was pregnant or whatever. So the father ended up getting murdered, and the mother ended up living in an asylum and having him. So it's something that's defined his whole life. And no one for a second is like, oh my God, Chad, are you okay? Everyone's like, Chad, okay, that's very dark. All right, you took it to 100. And when they have this conclusion, the final friends come in to try to help Chad, help the girl. And this is when, like, at this point, Allison has had no doubts in any way, shape, or form that Dale is not who he says he is. But he has repeatedly said, your friends are trying to kill themselves, what's wrong with them, so on and so forth. And these last two people that come in literally accidentally walk into a knife, set themselves on fire. Like, a chain of freak accidents happen. And I don't think Allison leaves that situation thinking her friends are suicidal, but seeing, like, okay, a lot of just, like, mayhem is going on. They end up getting chased down, Dale and Allison specifically. Or no, Allison gets kidnapped and Dale goes to save her at a like a sawmill, which I couldn't help but think about Twin Peaks in the fucking mill. I'm like, Jody is somewhere looking down, Catherine is looking down somewhere from their office. But this is where he's like just next level insane and he becomes the true villain. A lot of villains in horror movies think that they're the most rational thing that they can do is the most insane possibility. So when he ties Allison up to the chainsaw mill and he's basically going to kill her, he thinks he's saving her because she wants to be with Dale and she clearly doesn't know what she wants, so it's better that she dies than be with him. And somehow, by some heroic miracle, Dale is able to not only save her, but again, because this is a horror movie, and I love when horror movies are very, like, on the nose, they end up finding a newspaper about the situation that happened to him when he was a kid. They end up finding out, this is where the beautiful twist is, that Chad is, in fact, a hillbilly himself. That, I get the impression it was still assault, which is messed up, but basically unconsensually his mother had relationships with the hillbilly and they literally look like the same person. So the idea is that he is in fact a hillbilly. So then for him to have so many by the way, I need to put this out there, hillbillies is not a politically correct term, I'm just using what they're using, so just putting that out there. But he is in fact like Dale and can't judge them for it. But he can't accept this. Accidents happen, and thank God he finally dies and they get rid of him, because it's just like, there's no way in hell you can deal with this. He is out of control. He has no chill at all. He is not someone you can... I wonder if, I can't remember if they blame it all on him. They really should, to be honest with you. But either way, they end up successfully outliving that. Thank God Tucker is not mad at Dale for the vacation home or anything. He's just happy he's alive. I love that one of his fingernails ended up being one of the girl's fingernails. It's like, how does that accident even happen? That's very like Harold Kumar early 2000s type of joke humor. But Dale and Allison end up being together. She ends up being into bowling too, so you can't make any judgments about who she really is. And it's just like really cute, happy ending. But I promise you will laugh so hard at the gruesome outcomes of the deaths, the miscommunications, like what you kind of get this perspective of, you see what the college kids are seeing and then what Tucker and Dale are actually talking about and vice versa. And I think it's one of those like misunderstandings that never gets I can't explain it enough. Like, the jokes just never get less funny, even if the idea is repetitive. But overall, I'm surprised Eli Craig hasn't gotten more opportunities, because I mean, he doesn't have a lot of movies he's done. He's only done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different projects, but 2 of them kind of say a lot about his creativity and what he kind of wants to be known for and head in the direction of. I mean, I would even love if he tackled something kind of like The Conjuring, but in that kind of self-aware way, but maybe with a little bit more of a serious, like, James Wan tone. Like, like, Craig, if you're listening to me, that would be so fucking sick. You should totally do that. Like, I don't know. I just think he's got a lot of talent, and I'm surprised more people don't talk about him, and he hasn't been given more opportunities. But the thing when it comes to directing is, like, sometimes you'll get your best opportunities later in life. So, like, there's only more room for success as time goes by, which is cool. Either way, you should totally go check it out. You should become a subscriber today. And, like, let me know what you think. Or, like, if you were in this situation, what would you do? Would you jump to conclusions? Would you take a second to talk? Let me know. Please consider becoming a Patreon today. I love you in the most platonic way possible. Bye!